You're 14 years old, standing in a palace courtyard watching your sister kneel on stone, wrists bound behind her back. The executioner doesn't look at her face. Neither does your father, Ptolemy XII, Pharaoh, God King, the man who borrowed Roman money at extortionate interest rates just to reclaim his own throne, watches his eldest daughter die the way a farmer watches a bad harvest get plowed under. Practical, necessary, already thinking about spring. Berenice's head hits the dust. The guards don't flinch. The court goes quiet in that specific way that means everyone is very quickly deciding what expression to wear. You don't cry, you file it away. 2 notes committed to memory before the body is even cold. Power doesn't protect you in this family, and the person holding the blade always outlives the person kneeling. You've just learned the only lesson that matters inside these walls. Now figure out how to be the one holding the blade. Rewind 14 years. You're born in 69 BC into the Ptolemaic dynasty, the richest family in the known world, rulers of Egypt, and completely unhinged. Your grandparents were siblings. Their parents were siblings. The family tree doesn't branch so much as coil back on itself like a snake that's given up. 250 years of keeping it in the family because foreign blood supposedly dilutes the divine bloodline. And also, apparently nobody willing to argue otherwise has lasted long enough to finish the sentence. Here's the part that'll make you choke. This dynasty has ruled Egypt for 2.5 centuries, and not one of them learned Egyptian. Not one. Your family speaks Greek, the priests speak Greek, the actual Egyptians, the farmers, the craftsmen, the people whose country this technically is, might as well be furniture. The Ptolemies have governed Egypt the way a landlord manages a building he's never once visited. You were born 3rd in line, which means safe for now. In this family now is doing a lot of work. By 7, you speak Greek and Egyptian both. The Egyptian is strategic. A pharaoh who needs a translator is a pharaoh who can be lied to by her translator, and you figured that out before you've lost all your baby teeth. By 12, you're up to 7 languages: Greek, Egyptian, Ethiopian, Hebrew, Aramaic, Parthian, Median, studying at the Mausion alongside philosophers and astronomers, while your tutors try to keep up. Your father is rarely home. When he is, he plays the flute and tries to pretend the riots outside aren't about him. The Alexandrians have thrown him out. He came back with Roman soldiers and a bill for their services, the lesson you absorb without anyone teaching it to you. Popularity expires. Legions don't. Age 14. Berenice's coup sticks long enough that your father runs to Rome, which means you've just watched the ruler of the wealthiest country alive flee from his own 10-year-old daughter. He returns with an army. You stand in that courtyard. You watch. You remember everything. Your father dies 4 years later. His will names you co-ruler with your 10-year-old brother, Ptolemy XIII, also your designated husband, because the dynasty cannot stop being itself even at the end. Congratulations, you're married to a child who still needs help with his sandals. Now go run an empire. 3 months in, you already know something's wrong by the way Pothinus looks at you. He's your brother's chief advisor, eunuch, political snake, and the kind of man whose smile never quite reaches his eyes because his eyes are too busy doing math. The coup arrives quietly. A meeting you're not summoned to, a guard at the wrong door, and then Pothinus, with a scroll and that smile. The king has decided to rule alone. You don't scream, you don't argue. You do the only calculation that matters. This fight, today, you lose. You excuse yourself like someone leaving a boring dinner party, walk out of the palace, and disappear east that night with 2 handmaidens and whatever gold you can carry. They chase you to the border. Civil war breaks out behind you. Then Julius Caesar sails into the Alexandria harbor. He's chasing his defeated rival Pompey. Your brother's advisors, thinking they're clever, have Pompey murdered on the beach and present his head to Caesar as a welcome gift. Caesar cries because this isn't a gift. It's a crime, and Caesar doesn't want to be linked to crimes he didn't personally commission. You see the opening, you find a carpet, you find a merchant. You arrive inside Caesar's quarters as luggage because sometimes getting to the top requires being briefly willing to be furniture. The carpet unrolls. Caesar raises an eyebrow. Your brother's advisors go pale. You've been rehearsing this speech since you were 9. Caesar backs you. Your brother tries to fight it, raises an army, and manages to drown himself in the harbor wearing gold armor during the retreat. Natural selection, ancient world edition. Your younger sister Arsinoe grabs at the throne during the chaos. Caesar captures her. The court watches her get dragged away in chains and quietly decides that backing the wrong sibling has a poor rate of return. You're 21. Egypt is yours. The Nile floods are managed. The grain dole is running. The priests are finally being addressed in their own language by their own pharaoh for the first time in 2.5 centuries, and you can hear the relief in their voices when you speak. Caesar erects a golden statue of you in the Temple of Venus in Rome. The senators are scandalized. This from a city that made gladiatorial combat a sport. You get pregnant, a son, cesarean, your insurance policy in human form. The timing, as always, is not an accident. For one brief shining moment, you are running Egypt from Rome and managing Rome from your dinner table, and it is working. The Ides of March are 3 years out. Enjoy it. This is as good as it gets. The Senate stabs Caesar 23 times on March 15th, 44 BC, 23. They wanted to be certain. You don't wait for the funeral. You grab Caesarion and evacuate Rome before the blood is cold, because the men who just killed the most powerful Roman alive are already looking for loose ends. And you are, by any definition, the loosest end in the building. Back to Egypt. Rome immediately erupts into civil war because of course it does. When the dust settles, 2 men divide the world. Octavian takes the west. Mark Antony takes the east, your neighborhood. He summons you to Tarsus like you're a subordinate. You let him wait 3 weeks, then arrive on a golden barge with purple sails and incense smoke drifting across the water, so the whole city smells like a temple before you even dock. Antony is on the shore, surrounded by the crowd that abandoned him the moment your ship appeared. His soldiers start calling him Cleopatra's butler. He never quite recovers. You build the alliance, Egypt's gold for Rome's military muscle. Twins, then a 3rd child, then a public ceremony, where you redistribute eastern territories to your children. Octavian watches from Rome and starts writing propaganda. Simple stuff. Antony corrupted by a foreign queen. Antony abandoning Roman values. All technically accurate, which makes it devastating. Rome doesn't declare war on Antony. Rome declares war on you, specifically you. A woman, a foreigner, the monster. Actium 31 BC. Your fleet breaks formation. Antony watches your sails turn and abandons his own men to chase you. His fleet surrenders on the spot. Game over. Octavian is inevitably coming. No alliances left. No carpet tricks left in the arsenal. Caesarion is 17 and looks enough like his father that Octavian will have him killed on sight. You've known this since Actium. You send him east. Gold, a guard, instructions to keep moving and not stop until Rome is a rumor. You watch him go from the palace corridor where you were born, and your hands stay still at your sides, because you learned at 14 years old in a dusty courtyard that the ones who survive in this family are the ones who don't let anyone see them flinch. Your father watched Berenice kneel and kept his face empty. You learned the same trick. Now you're passing it on. The Ptolemaic machine still running, still demanding the same payment from every generation. You never chose it. You just ran it better than anyone before you. Your son disappears around the corner. You don't call after him. You're 39. Octavian wants you alive for his triumph parade in Rome. The defeated queen in chains while citizens throw garbage and feel righteous about it. You've read the accounts. Hard pass. You bathe. You dress in linen and the gold collar that has touched pharaohs for 1,000 years before you. A basket of figs arrives. Beneath the fruit, something moves. The asp's venom works through the nerves, slowly, then completely. Your 2 handmaidens reach into the basket after you, because they also made a choice about how this ends. Octavian's men break down the door. Too late. You governed Egypt for 21 years. You spoke 7 languages. You were the first ruler of your dynasty to speak to your own people in their own tongue. You kept the country fed through 2 Roman civil wars. 2,000 years later, they'll file you under complicated love life. You were the last pharaoh of Egypt, and the men who wrote your story were the citizens of the empire that destroyed you. Of course they wrote it that way. You just didn't get to write the ending.